welcome back to Modern Retrogal. My name's JL, and just to address the elephant in the room, yes, I forgot to film this intro when I filmed earlier today, so now the lighting is not super great, but I didn't want to have to go and recreate this look and everything again tomorrow, so sorry about that, but that's the life of a YouTuber. Anywho, today's video is this Lavender 60s inspired eyeshadow tutorial. Yes, the 1960s were not just the Twiggy look with the very deep set eye, the doe shape eye, and the like drawn on lower lashes. That was a look that happened during the 60s, but that was not the only look. So this is the first in my series that I'm doing. We are going from the 60s back to the 20s. I'll be using colored eyeshadows with each tutorial showing you how they could be used during that era, and it's still very appropriate to the era, but I will be putting a little bit of a modern twist on it, as you will see in this video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I am a cruelty-free YouTuber, so all of the products that I use and recommend are cruelty-free. I also specialize in eyeshadow tutorials for hooded eyes, and especially makeup for women from their late 30s into their 40s and beyond, because I'm a 40-year-old woman, so I gotta do what works for my face. So I hope that this sounds interesting to you. I would love to have you as a subscriber, so please be sure to click that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to hit the bell. The bell will allow you to choose to be notified every time I upload a video. For this video, I have done a lot of research, looked at different techniques of eyeshadow application, of eyeliner application for the 60s. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and let's get started. All right, so before we get started in the starting to apply the eyeshadow, I do want to show you what I am using for today. So this is the Club Babalu palette from Besame Cosmetics. It's part of their I Love Lucy collection. This one is limited edition. They do still have some of these left as of when I'm filming this. So if you are interested in grabbing this, I highly recommend you jump on it. I think it's just a fabulous palette, and we're going to be using this shade right here, Lucy's Lilac. If you are not interested in grabbing this one, some alternatives are the In a Love Triangle from ColourPop. This has some really great pastel shadows. A couple other alternatives too, if you just want to get single shadows, I would recommend checking out Makeup Geek or Sugar Pill. Those two brands are really good, have really amazing single eyeshadows, and I'm sure you'll be able to find a lavender that suits you. So let's get into things. I'm just going to be going into this Lucy's Lilac. I am going to start with a more kind of like flattish, Duncy brush. This is just a BH Cosmetics 103. And I'm just gonna go pretty firmly into the eyeshadow this time and then tap it off, because I want to place down a good amount of shadow. I have a little bit of creasiness going on here, so I'm just gonna smooth that out first. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is just kind of go in and pack this color on, because I really want it to be as saturated as possible, since this is our main eyeshadow color. I'm not too worried about placement or it looking smooth right now. I'm just kind of packing that color on right now. So for this, we're going to mimic a cat eye. So now I'm just going, now that I have this kind of packed on the mobile part and sort of up into my crease, I'm just going to pack a little bit more at an angle, going up towards my the tail of my eyebrow. And now that I have a good amount of this packed on there, I'm going to take a nice fluffy brush. This is my unit 113, and we're just going to start to go in with some windshield wiper motions, and what is that called? Circular. I can't think of the word. Circular motions, and we're just going to start to blend all of this out so it looks nice and smooth. I'm using my close-up mirror from the palette, and I have a mirror that's a little bit further back. It's behind my filming station so that I can see how things are looking close up and far away. This is a look that I have just been wearing the heck out of. I think it's really fun. I was someone, because I have hooded eyes, never really thought that I could do a more pastel eye look. I just, in the past, really thought that it wasn't something that was going to work well on my eyes, so I kind of stayed away. So are you someone who is comfortable wearing pastel shadows, or have you kind of always shied away from wearing them? I also thought that it just didn't work well with my complexion, but with the advancement in makeup technology, I feel like pastel colors have come a long way. So for the shape, you can see I've just gone more at an angle. I've really left this space in here open, and then I am blending it up towards that tail to kind of give that cat eye effect. So that is basically it. I'm just going to repeat that on the other side, and then we will come back for eyeliner. Okay, so I am back. I've got both of the shadows done. I have packed on to the intensity that I want and then blended everything up into the shape that I want it. I am gonna go back into this palette and use, what is it called? This Tropicana taupe. I'm just gonna run a little bit of that along my lower lash line just for a slight bit of shadow. We're not gonna pull this lavender color down underneath. But I do want kind of just like, I don't know, I would almost say sort of like contouring this lower lash line, and then we're gonna go into our liner. So just as an FYI, because I have very hooded eyes, I am gonna be skipping the winged liner. Having a thicker winged liner would just be the icing on the cake for this look, but for me, it doesn't work. So I'm going to be mixing a few different eyeliner techniques that were popular during the 60s. So I'm going to be doing a liquid black liner on the lid. I'm just going to omit the wing. So I'm going to take my black liner, I'm going to go in and I'm going to tight line just to get rid of any of, what am I trying to say? That kind of like redness from the underlid that can kind of peek out when you're doing your lashes. And this will just make the eyes look more intense too, especially because we're just doing a single lid color. And I am also going to take this and I'm going to run it along the lash line. I'm not going to go into the waterline with it. I think it just looks too harsh on me. I'm going to use a lighter shade for that, but we are going to take it and we're just going to run it along the lash line. I really can't talk and do my eyeliner at the same time. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos. I forget what company did them. I think it was a magazine. It might have been like Vogue or something, and they did this series of videos called like the 100 years of. So it was the 100 years of makeup, the 100 years of fashion, the 100 years of hair, and without fail, I feel like when they got to the 60s, they always did a Twiggy look, and I'm not knocking the Twiggy makeup whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, it had its place in makeup history. However, it was not the only look during the 60s, and most of the time, those videos not only ever used the Twiggy look, but they didn't do it very well. I'm just gonna go in with my Glossier Pro Tip liner, liquid liner pencil. All right, so I am going to do a little bit thicker and more dramatic than I would normally do, but because my eyeshadow extends up so far and I'm doing a single color, I feel like I can kind of get away with doing a slightly thicker liner. I always kind of taper it off to the corner, the outer corner, just because all of that gets covered up anyway, so why waste a liner, you know what I'm saying? And then we'll kind of not go super thin on the inner. Maybe I can go like this for this part, but not super thick either, just kind of somewhere in between that matches up, but you still get kind of that heavier eyeliner on the outer corner, which was a popular trend during the 60s. All right, so I had to kind of stop filming while I was doing this eyeliner because I was just having a hard time focusing on what I was doing, and I was starting to make a couple of mistakes. I did end up with a little bugaboo. So the inner liner is a little bit thicker than I would normally do. One thing that I did do, if you can kind of see this, is I did sort of take the outer corner and just sort of extend it slightly and kind of slightly upwards, almost like I was going to do a winged liner, but I didn't. And I feel like it just sort of gives like that cornered effect to my eyeliner that has like that 60s shape to it. So one of the things that I was starting to mention, let me talk about lips first, because we'll kind of start doing lips at the same, lips. We're not at lips yet. We're at mascara. I can talk about it while we're doing mascara. So one of the things I was mentioning is if you are interested in sort of finding out some good resources on what were actual makeup trends during a certain time period. I need to curl my lashes first. One thing that you can look at is actually vintage makeup ads. And if you look at the products and the shades that they were, what's the word I'm looking for? Advertising. And the way the makeup was done on the women in the advertisements, that gives you a really good idea of how kind of the everyday woman or what everyday makeup looked like during that time period, if you kind of want to get away from some of those really specific trends like the Twiggy makeup. You know, other actresses that were popular at that time were women like Audrey Hepburn. Wore her makeup vastly different than Twiggy did. Elizabeth Taylor, very popular during that time period. Again, her makeup was quite different from Twiggy's makeup. Another good resource is if you can look at your mom or your aunt or your grandmother's old makeup, or not makeup, photo albums. That will give you a great idea and a very authentic idea of what makeup was like during those time periods. If you are able to get your hands on any old yearbooks, that is another good one. Just keep in mind that with yearbooks, you're getting more of like teen makeup. So if you are able to kind of look at maybe the faculty makeup, again, that's another good one, another good resource. To finish off my eyes, I'm just gonna go in with this kind of nude pinky champagne liner, and we're just gonna go into that tear duct area and just line that. White liner was super popular throughout the 60s for this area, but I just like this color a little bit better. I think it's a little less harsh, but you can definitely do white liner. So now we're gonna go in with the lips. The colors that I'm gonna use are Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm also going to use a pink gloss. This is just from e.l.f. This is not the one that I normally use. I will put it down below in the description box. It is from Lime Crime and it's part of their Wet Cherry line, but this Pillow Talk is perfect for that 60s kind of paler lip without going too pale. I think of it more of like the Brigitte Bardot. So I'm gonna line fill in and put the gloss on. This is the final look with the lips on. If you're not a big fan of gloss, you could definitely stop at the lipstick phase. Again, that Lime Crime lip gloss I think makes it even more of kind of like that 60s look. So I'm really bummed that I can't find it, especially for this video. But I quickly wanted to share this resource with you. This is another one. This is not free. This is something you have to buy. But it is this book. It's called Retro Makeup Tips for Applying the Vintage Look. It's from Lauren Reynolds. She did an amazing book on hair, and then she did this one on makeup. This has so much accurate information for doing vintage makeup that if this is something that you really into, I highly recommend picking this up. This is where I get a lot of my info from. And so along with all of this and the series that I'm doing, I am going to have a blog post that will be up that I will have linked down below. It will have some information on different eyeshadow colors that were popular during each decade, so from the 20s to the 60s. You can read through that and peruse it and understand how colors were used and were popular through each decade. I just chose lavender because I love it. I think it's really pretty and I think it works really well with 60s inspired makeup. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please be sure to give this video a like, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and check back next week. We will be doing a 50s inspired makeup look. I'm not sure what color I'm going to choose yet for the eyeshadow, so make sure that you are subscribed so that you won't miss out. That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.